Hey there everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris Orme. I'm in the middle of a storm, so hopefully won't be any issues. Things get a bit crazy in Texas sometimes. But we are here bringing you this blind look. I haven't read anything about it, haven't seen anything about it so far. Blind look and review, first impressions of Out of the Park Baseball 20 years. That just blows my mind. Thinking back to the first few versions that I played way back in the day. Not quite 20 years ago. But yeah, not too far after the series started is when I first took notice. And it's come a long way since then. So we're going to take a look at exactly what. All I've done is install. I haven't done anything else. I haven't even entered my serial or anything in yet. I just wanted you to see this here. I'll enter the serial in a minute. I'll pause the recording and do that. This is just what's popped up. So you can see you've got a lot of forum stuff. We've got some video tutorials, got the online manual. Lots of information to get you into the game. Absolutely fantastic. There's tracking to help see what features people use and don't use, etc. Absolutely fantastic. Yes, you can see that. Perfect team as well. We saw that last year, but I got a feeling that's going to get more and more popular as the series grows and as that feature goes through various iterations and gains quality of life improvements. So that could be an interesting part. So, without further ado, I'm going to enter my license key. We'll be back when that is done. And there we go. License fully activated. Everything up and running. And yeah, kind of interesting. So we can import a game from Out of the Park 19. I pretty much did all I wanted to do with Out the Park 19. I didn't have one to carry over. But that's a feature a lot of these games don't have. You know, a lot of these sports management games, not just baseball, but there's ice hockey games, there's NFL games, there's soccer games, there's all kinds of games out there in this sports management genre. And you can't continue a save from a previous version. But you can in Out of the Park. So you got that aspect of it, which I really like. You know, you get attached. You do get attached to players that are coming through, especially if you're in control of a team, the recruitment side of things. So you're there at the drafts or whatnot, or in other games for, you know, players coming through youth academies or feeder clubs, or however the system works in various sports. You get attached. And it's tough to say goodbye to them, and you need to upgrade to a new version, you know, that runs better, runs quicker, has more features, looks better, whatever it might be, those quality of life improvements from game to game. I really like the fact that you can just take all those memories and history you have with previous games and bring them forward into the new iteration. So that's pretty good. The other thing I've always loved about Out of the Park, because my era of baseball is 1960s. It's Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle, the race to break Babe Ruth's record in the house Ruth built. That's my sort of perfect moment in baseball. Apart from that, you know, I do love the story of Moneyball with Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics. I do also love watching the modern day home run derbies and that kind of thing. I'm a big fan of quite a few players out there at the moment, mainly the home run hitters and some of the top pitchers. They're kind of my go-to. I think those are the best players for me to watch, because those are the game winners. Either they win by pitching a shutout, or they win by, you know, knocking in a home run in that clutch moment. So it's kind of a fun thing to have one on either side. But yeah, I kind of do enjoy that. But my era is a bit more historical, and I can go and play in that era. And that's again what I love, the customization of this game. You can play historically, you can play now, you can play your own version, you can mix things up. You know, there's all kinds of things you can do. So I would recommend, taking a look at the game, and all the different rules, and, look on the forums, look at YouTube, look at different people's videos, see what they've done, maybe get some ideas about what you want to do to make your game the best it can be. So, it's kind of an interesting mix, and you've got the historical exhibition. You can pit different teams from different eras against each other and see who was the best of all time. You load one team up, you load another team up, throw them together. Who's going to win? Is it going to be the 61 Yankees? Is it going to be, a team from a modern era going up against that team? Is it going to be Satchel Paige and that era? When he was the first black player, really big name black player to come in and try and make an impact in the MLB. So I kind of enjoy all that side of things. Before we jump into it, I've got some little screenshots I'm just going to drag in here. So I've taken most of these from the website and bits and pieces. So, this is all key information I think that you should know about. So they do take authenticity really, really seriously. So logos, uniforms, all minor league baseball teams, as well as 100 of historical MLB logos. That's key for me. They've made sure that as they're moving forward, the game looks better. They've got all the licenses they need. They've got all the logos and uniforms now historically as well as currently. And not just for the top levels, but around the world, they try and get as many as they can. I love that aspect of it. You can see here the specifications for the game. Runs Windows, Mac, and Linux. Not really that tough to run. 2 gigs of RAM, 7 gig space, and that's about it, really. It's pretty dang spectacular to have a game with this much depth and complexity that can run really well, and you can play for so long and get through so much in so little time, and for it to have so little required computing power. Blows my mind. I don't know kind of how that all works, but it's not heavy on the graphics, but it's heavy on the feel and the history and the emotions, and you invest in it. And it's like reading a book versus watching a movie. Sure, you don't get all the extreme visual sort of eye candy as you can get, but I'd rather not see something like that if it's not going to be great. What I'd rather do is read a book, and my imagination fills in those pictures, and I get to choose how things look and how things work. And in this game, rather than just seeing cutscenes of these fantastic stuff going on, your input is like that. You're there, you're interacting. And that's why I like these kind of games, this genre of sports management games. Really, we don't need sizzle. We like sausage. And it gives it to you. And this game, more than most out there, in fact, I'd say more than all out there at this point, it's probably the premier series in terms of fan service, representing the sport the best way, with the most level of depth, complexity, and accessibility. So really interesting mix they've got going on for new players, old players, customization, just anything you want to do with this game, any way you want to play it, they have a way for you to do that. And I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So, new for this season. There we go. So, the opening day rosters for the new season, that's kind of a given. Live services, so they'll let you know about how things are going. And you can update player ratings in current game based on current performances. So, if a player has a breakout season, you can have that in your game as well while your game is going on. Absolutely fantastic, that. I just love the idea of that. So, fair play to them. Hundreds of new motion captured powered 3D animation. So you can see a lot more when you're looking at the field. It's not a huge thing for me, but I know there are some out there that do like a little bit of that sort of presentation, and they have put a lot of work in that. We'll take a little look at that later on. So you can see that for yourself. But it's not a huge thing, like I say, for me. But it can help accentuate those moments. So Game 7, of a World Series. You're down by 3. Bottom of the 9th. Bases are loaded. And the guy you drafted is up next and hits a grand slam home run, wins the World Series. I mean, to be able to watch that happen and the celebrations and everything, I mean, that's what you live for in these games. That's what you play for. That's why you invest the time. Those magical moments, and you can see them realized in front of your very eyes. So, again, kudos for them putting it in the game and working so hard to get that up to scratch. But again, doing it without needing, a top-of-the-line PC for it. Then we've got new modern strategy. So it's, kind of an interesting reworking of the AI. Trying to make it more realistic, more fun, more adaptable, not so predictable. And I think you need that. I certainly do. I don't want to see the same teams playing the same way at the same stage of every season and whatnot. So the teams and players and coaches and everybody's going to adapt as the years go on, play in slightly different ways. They're going to react to situations that the team finds themselves in, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that affects things. And if I'm still able to establish a dynasty, I've always been able to build through the draft in these kind of games. And I've always enjoyed that. I always say you get the young players in, you get the rookies in, because the best thing about young people in general is when they haven't learned what they can't do. Like right now, I know I can't go to Yankee Stadium and hit a home run. I can't do it. I know I can't do it. So I'm never going to try. But there's young kids out there who don't know that they can't do it. So they're going to go out there and try. And maybe, if everything goes right, maybe they actually do it. Maybe they only hit a double. Maybe it's a line drive. But, there's different things out there. So you get the kids who don't know what it is. They don't know their limitations. They don't know what they can't do. They don't know what they should do. So they swing for the fences. And they make things happen that nobody thinks can be done. So, if I do that, I can build a dynasty. And that dynasty is built on, 20 to 25-year-olds. Which means that team's in place for 20 years and you kind of win for 20 years. So I'm just wondering if that is still achievable or not with this new system behind it. And if it is, how much more work do I need to do? Because I do want to do that. Of course you do. You want to establish that winning tradition. Or continue a winning tradition if you're taking over a top team. But I don't want it to be easy. I don't want to establish a winning team, and as long as I don't change much, it continues to win. I want the game to adapt. I want Season 1 of my success to be way different to Season 2, and so on. So we will see as time goes on how that comes into it. But from what I can see at first glance, I think that's going to be a nice addition to throw in some random fluctuations into the simulation and really make me think more and earn my success rather than do a couple of things right and live off those glories. Improved AI for trades, contracts, roster building, player evaluation. Again, making it a much more competitive world. I like that. Optimize historical simulations. Okay, I'm in. Tiebreaker calculations. Important. Graphical spray charts. Not something I get into, but I know there will be people out there that love crunching data. So that's a tool where you can see kind of where everything is, and maybe that'll lead you to think one way or another how to change things, what you need to do differently. Hey, more information is always a good thing, whether you choose to use it or not. Again, the UI improvements continuing to go on and giving you feedback anonymously allows them to pick and choose what they would need to change first. What's most important, what's most used, what's being ignored, what do we need to bring to the forefront that's important that people just don't use. So I think that's going to be an ongoing process, not just through this iteration, but through the series as a whole. New achievements, there are people out there that love the achievements. I'm not a big guy for those, but again, I've got no issue with them being in there. And now and again, something will pop up, and I don't go hunting achievements, but if I do something, an achievement just pops up randomly, and I look at it, and it's, such and such pops up, and I'm just like, oh, hey, awesome. It's just that little nice little thing that comes up, so it's good. Online perfect team, as I say, that could be an absolutely fantastic thing. So you can see the perfect team stuff there. Multi-tournament, expansion of league scenarios. Interesting. Don't know exactly what it means, but I've got some ideas, and that's very interesting. Smarter player lineups, backup positioning designed to optimize the teams. Excellent. 162 game grind. It can be a grind. A season can be a long time in these games. So you look at the NFL, there's 16 games, then you go into the postseason. Ice hockey, there's 82 games, postseason. Baseball's 162. It's very easy to feel bogged down in that kind of situation, so getting things lined up easier might make it a bit more bearable to get through that grind. I think that word is highly applicable at times. That's one of the problems I have with the sport. Not so much out the park. I do feel it. OOTP does move along at a quick enough pace, while I can still slow it down as I need to. I don't think it drags. But if you're doing 10 years, then it can take some time to chew through all those games. That's, 1,620 games plus anything else you're in, as in playoffs, pre-season, whatever. It's going to take some time. Tweaks. There's always going to be tweaks, much more. Of course, they can't give you the entire list in shortened form. And then here's the information. If you want to read through it all, just pause the video. Go ahead. I'll be here when you get back to it. For those of you, though, that are just, wanted to get on with the video a bit, $36. It's not the cheapest game out there, but you do pay for what you get. There is a discount before the end of this month, March 29th. So you've got a few days. Get in on that if you're interested. But yeah, it's the biggest game. It's the best looking game. It's the best organized game. It's the best performing game that is in not only the baseball sort of world, but the sports world, the sports management world, and I'd say even just the management world outside of the sporting aspect. I think it's pretty much number one in any genre it finds itself in, and you can play it for a long time, and you can import your save across and continue to play that save for a long time. So for that aspect, I think the amount of gameplay that's there is... It's not a game to be put off by a high price. Games can be really expensive these days, and I know a lot of people kind of are put off, and some people, like myself, we have to save up for games. We're not able to go and spend $30, $40 just as we wish on a game. But when I do, I need a game of substance. And that's why I don't play a lot of new games, and I don't buy a lot of AAA titles. I don't buy a lot of games produced by major studios, because 15, 20 hours later, you're done. You've seen everything there is to see, and it's a thrilling ride, but it is that trip to the cinema to see that film, which was glorious, but you're never going to see again. Only it costs a heck of a lot more. So I prefer the games of substance that, maybe still cost a decent amount, but instead of paying, $5, $10 per hour of enjoyment, I'm paying maybe 20 cents per hour. Or for a game of this, for like $35, you could easily rack up 700 hours on this game. So, it's like, really value for money when you look at it that way. So, yeah, March 29th, you can buy it at OOTPdevelopments.com. Check out the website. You can go there. You can pick up this game for 10% discount, I believe, before the 29th. But yeah, pretty much excited and interested at this point to see how it goes. So, I'm not going to load in. So this is what it looks like. The World Cup of Baseball is there. Live start. Dang. Okay, so you can start on this day in history, as it were. That's interesting. So if you're in the middle of a year and your favorite team's just lost its best player, and your team does nothing really to replace them, or you does something you don't like, live start, jump in, go trade for Aaron Judge, go do something, go get that pitcher which is going to change things around. That's dang, that's interesting. Okay, so review. We're just going to load up MLB and see how long this takes to load fully. Well, without that, I'm going to read through a bit more of the... Okay, so that didn't take very long, a few minutes there. Pretty happy with that load time, honestly. Some of the features looked a little bit into some of the more, the bigger features. I think Perfect Team is the big focus. It's the new thing they're developing, and I think will have a big impact on the series. But it doesn't feel like they've had to take resources away from the core game. I feel they've been very attentive and very focused on making this the best version of Out of the Park, and the best simulation, the best strategy, the best AI, the best UI, the best sort of quality of life improvements that they could think of, but still be able to dedicate time to developing their new feature alongside it. So I think, again, a very interesting balance, and I think I use the word balance a lot because I do think that is something they do really well. It never feels like it's unbalanced. It always feels like a really solid product that you can play in many different ways, and no one feature overwrites another, and no one playstyle wins more than another. No one strategy is more viable than another. I think it really is in your hands what you do in this game. The other aspect of balance is the balance between what you do and what the computer does. So the improved AI for trading and player evaluation and contracts, it means that the more you're on an even footing with what the computer can do, and the computer's on an even footing for what it's able to learn as you're able to pick up on stuff, it means that you're not the only one finding gems later on in the draft. You're not the only one to scout that, pitcher with an arm of a god. You're not that only one to find that guy who's got great contact and power that'll hit home runs for days in free agency. They're not going to pay him a ridiculous contract unless other people are. So the fact that they've improved all that and they're adjusting the strategies sort of on the field and off the field, and not only is it rooted in historical thinking, but also modern thinking, with modern strategies. Some GMs may favour the old school approach. Billy Bean and his sabermetric money ball sort of is one way to play, and there's the old 5 tools, and there's so much you can do in so many different ways that they're continually improving and making anything you want to do a possibility. And if you can't do that in the MLB, go create your own league. So, very interested to see what that balance feels like in the game. And of course, you've got the balance between the gameplay and the realism and the data and the graphics as well. So, yeah, online, offline, I mean, there's lots of balance they need to do, but they seem to have a very good knack of keeping things feeling really balanced. So I'm really happy with that. And yeah, I think that's about it for features. Gonna play in Commissioner mode. We're gonna throw myself in the game. I'll be American, why not? And for a change, let's just be... Heck, I'll even be female for the hell of it. There we go. So as you might know, I am pretty much a GM. I am not so much a manager, because game strategy and that side of things, tactics, are really not my strong point. Roster building is where I always feel more at home. So, Contrafile is not official, understand. So, first impressions, glancing at it, again, looks very familiar. I've played out of the park baseball for a number of years now. It does feel very, very familiar. There's nothing that sticks out to me as like, oh my god, this is hugely different. What does feel a little different, just the quality of the presentation. It just feels a little cleaner, it looks a little nicer. Everything's highly readable. I'm looking at the screen and the amount of information is huge, but it's not overwhelming. And it makes kind of senses, although yeah, I'd probably want the schedule over by the standing, for example. Or maybe even standings down here. So team finances, team schedule, and then the standings. And throw my personal information up there. So we got my stuff here, and we got that stuff, or that there with tasks and my inbox, and put these up there. So it's all team based and all manager based. But the good thing is you can choose that. So they put in what they feel is the most important stuff, but you can choose what you want and how you want to look at things. And I think that's kind of, really impressive. Again, the level of customization. Feels quick, doesn't feel like there's much lag. Loading up people, loading anything. Just very quickly sort of going through things. Then you create pictures pretty quickly. Wow. My focus immediately goes to text when it comes to these pictures. Not so much with these graphs. But I just was looking in this sort of general area, just all the personality of a ham sandwich. And that's something, again, I do appreciate about this game. It has that level of fun and interest to it. The story behind it doesn't just feel like a bunch of numbers, bunch of data. Feels like a world, an evolving world, a developing world, with a cast of characters and so on and so forth. Gonna want a bigger budget. Oops. Throw your money at recruitment, because that's where you make the biggest impact. At least that's my kind of thought about it. And then you can mess with these buttons and see where your scouting goes. Scouts task list. Okay. Interesting. Upcoming free agents. You can see them pretty quickly. Able to sort. Like really, really quickly. Honestly. Okay. Well, that's not going to show anything. So I'll have a switch hitter who is below 34. Overall rating is at least, I don't know. I normally play with numbers, so 2 and is fielding at center field. These three, can't see anybody because I don't have anyone listed there. But yeah, that's how quick those actually picked up. And how quickly I could input that data and change behind these screens and The amount of information, if you're willing to dive and find it, is there. And I say willing to dive, you don't have to dive. It's there. It's right in front of you. Everything's clickable. Everything is sortable. You're able to see oh so much. Nolan is the big earner because he is the best player. You can see all the awards lining up there, and I think they're clear, they're easy to read, they're big enough, they're eye-catching, and they're not in the way. That's a great place to have them. That's a real good quality of life. You can see all the stats, you can see all the information on the profile page. You move to contract, you got everything you'd need to know about their contract. Look at their scouting, you can see everything there, where they are, what they do, injuries. You can load up a page here of all that information. And you can see their baseball cards if they've got all-star appearances, etc. during the game. So yeah, I feel that is absolutely phenomenal. Like, for how quick that is, and for how much information it gives, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me how much they can get done. That's absolutely fantastic. And I do like the manager, the owner, sort of personalities. You can see, bit of an economizer, you know? Bit of an economizer, but he is fairly demanding, and he's got his expectations. So he wants us to reach the playoffs this year. Long term, within the next 5 years, we're going to the World Series. So if I want to remain in charge of this team, I need to get us to the playoffs this year. And I need to get to the World Series in 5. So that's pretty cool as well. Yeah. All this is pretty cool. I think all these projected revenues and attendances and everything as well, that allows you to really play with the numbers. You can ignore all this, let the computer handle it, or you can dive in yourself. But that's, again, all the information's where you want it. It feels really quick. It feels kind of slick. It feels nice. Set your strategies. I kind of don't know much about all these. I'm not sure on what I like and what I don't like. Different player strategies. Let's see. It's fine here with Nolan. So he hit some runs and never bunts because he's a home run type of player. And you can see, if you look there, home run power and good contact. Don't really want him bunting. He's a great third baseman. He's a great home run hitter. He's an all-star kind of player. And you can make sure that that doesn't work. Or works however you want it to. Which is really kind of cool. The up and down keys cycle you through left and right. Don't work there, but the one on my mouse does. The forward and back. So strategies there, not something, as I say, I know much about or I get into. And even setting lineups really isn't my strong suit. But I do feel I understand it all because it gives you all the information. But adjusting between right and left-handed pitchers, I'm not sure whether I would know the best way to change those. And the designated hitter, I wouldn't really... I'd have the same lineup against all 4, and maybe that's a bad thing or a good thing, depending on your thinking. But the game allows you to do it, or leave it in the hands of a manager, or do anything you want to do. You've got your graphical depth chart, which is pretty good. You've got your lineups all on one pages, and then you've got your 7-day lineups, so you can see the entire week, who have you got, and who's going to play where. So, happy to see all that. Pitching, again, very similar. I don't know the best way to set them up, but I kind of know the stats I need for each role and how many I need. And so, again, roster building. One of my favorite screens is the rosters and transactions screen. Again, very clean, quick to navigate, good to see all your information. Just as quick as this, I'm able to see the top potential guys in my system. So down here, there's not much. Got one guy that might be a decent catcher. And then we got some guys down here, which look okay. And then we got Tyler, a closer, Robert Tyler here. Decent potential, could have some great stuff. Good fastball and a knuckle curve. He could be a decent closer indeed. And we got another guy down here in AA. We got Justin Lawrence. Again, fastball slider. Some stuff. Could be pretty decent. We got Brendan Rodgers here. The second baseman, who could be a fun player in the future. Another closer in Estevez. Carlos Estevez. So yeah, just even looking at this, I can see, okay, what do I have? I have my main roster. I've got Wade Davis, who's a pretty good closer. And by the time he really declines, well, Carlos Estevez looks like he might be ready to go. And what else do I have? Well, I have Lawrence. So if Estevez doesn't work out, Lawrence might be able to come through. And in the pipeline, I've also got Tyler. And I've also got Bowden back here. So I know just looking at this screen, the amount of information, I'm good on closers. I don't need to worry. We've got some good basemen as well. Murphy, Nolan's up there, Brendan's over there. Story and Gray for shortstop. We've got some good people out there. Blackmon and Dahl. And then it's like a few positions missing, but I can just tell where people are, what we can do. I do enjoy that. Internationals, I can see here. There we go, potentially. There's not a lot here in the international scouting in the complex for me. Trade status, we can see who's untouchable, trading block, etc. As I say, everything feels very similar. And I appreciate that, because it'd be really confusing if things changed too much. But at the same time, as I say, it just feels quicker, it feels nicer, it looks nicer. We can see a lot about all their information there. Pretty cool. Meet the team. Another one of my favorite screens. Again, the amount of information you get is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So much information here that really you should be paying attention to. Top prospects, Grant Levine. Really? Because he doesn't look too good to me. But if he doesn't look good to me, is that the fact that my scouts aren't good enough? So he's being misjudged? Or is it the fact that there's just an element of error thrown in? Or is he being overranked by Osa? And if he is, does that make him a player that we don't feel will be good, but other people rate really highly, and thus excellent trade bait? So, even just on this screen, there's a lot you can infer. And first baseman, I can immediately look. I've got Murphy, 8th in the league in terms of player rankings. We do need a second baseman. We do need, a left fielder. Our pitching isn't the best, but we've got some good pieces elsewhere. We've got some older players, I know that as well. So we can do a lot of different bits and pieces. You look at the team chemistry, you can see our manager, Mike Redmond, he's got good relationships here, bad here. And I can see, Nolan, Trevor over here, Blackman as well, David Dahl. Some players I really like are on this list. Mostly pitchers like him, but he seems to be alienating a lot of our good players, so maybe there's a change to be made there. And just that information you can get out is fantastic. So the captain, you can see, he is he's got a bad relationship with Mike Redmond. You look at Tom Murphy, he's got a bad relationship. McMahon, Blackman, all of these guys have a bad relationship. Mike Dunn is selfish, he has a good relationship. So, right then, I'm definitely looking at my staff. So I know there's some positions in the team I need to improve, pitching as a whole, and whatnot. But I don't believe that I need to do too much to that side of things. I think looking at coaching, that might be the one. That might be the one. So retired numbers, Todd Helton, great player, and yeah. One thing I do like as well is you can unretire these numbers. It does kind of feel wrong. But I like that it's there. I like that you can do it. And we can see recent history. So, the amount of wins. And sadly, Rockies have had a pretty bad team for a number of seasons. You can see here, not great through this entire 2011 to 2016 seasons. Then they got kind of okay 2017. Good team in 2018. And now it's my turn. So I enjoy that. See a lot of information here, different temperatures, rain percentages, wind, etc. You kind of, maybe that affects your strategy or what not. News, reports, fielding, pitching, batting leaders. As the game progresses, they'll all fill in. But yeah, overall, as I say, the look and feel of it is pretty similar. Yeah. Pretty similar, but pretty good for that reason. You got all the buttons over here again, which I feel are really good. So many settings. So you got the team settings. If you're in commissioner mode, you can change absolutely everything, so you get a feel for it here. It's all pretty much self-explanatory. So you can see here, if you wanted to look, you can see this is a 1 to 10, 1 to 5. Fan interest, 84%. Very loyal. Not a huge market. You can change where they are and change different bits. In the league, you can do almost everything you want to do, which is kind of crazy, but this one I think is worth noting. The Expand League, that's pretty good. And then the free agent draft as well, that can really throw a spanner in the works of some teams. And wow, yeah, there's so much in here. Set all teams to AI, set all teams to me. Export stuff, randomize stuff. Run an entire rescout. Yeah, okay. Interesting, you can change stuff here as well. All the teams and their names and different bits and pieces. So, that's up to you. The rules here, you can see all the different rules. Just, again, the level of the customization you can have, level of control you have over how you want it to play is pretty fun. One thing I do like to do is draft pick trading. I would tick that box. Yeah. And then I don't know what I would do apart from that, to be honest with you. Because I like a lot of these things, to be honest with you, to be the same. I don't really... Maybe I turn off the designated hitter rule, or maybe I enable it for both. I don't like it being one-sided. So yeah, that might be something I do as well for my games. Probably turn them on rather than turn both off. Financials, just, again, so many different bits and pieces here. So if you want to change the financials based on the markets rather than league-controlled media royalties, if you want everybody to have more money, or if they're owner, or what revenue sharing, blah, blah, blah. It's just the amount of customization is just crazy. Absolutely crazy. And again, I don't change most of these. Yeah, I just don't bother, because I kind of like the way the game works. So, evolve automatic evolution. So that'll be all these different things you can have change. So over time, if you want all these things to adjust over the course of the game, then that's something you can have. If you don't want expansions, you can turn that off. You don't want teams to relocate, turn that off. You don't want team nicknames to change, you can turn that off. I mean, I do like to add in schedule length and see what happens with all that. And I do like to rename a lot of these after other people's, sort of historical people. Fictional players, players of origins. You can change how many from each nation. The historical stuff you can throw in there. And the stats and AI, just again, the amount of data this game deals with and the amount of level of customization and control it allows you is fantastic. But not only that, as I say, the speed at which it allows you to do that and the speed at which the game runs, even though it is very much in-depth and complex, it just doesn't feel that way. It just doesn't feel like that way. So top free agents, there's a bunch of them there. Find a player. You can see all the different search options. You can look here at the player lists. But then, let's see here, free agents. So Kimbrough could be a really good, reserve pitcher. That's someone we need, actually. We do need that. We need a good second baseman. We need a good left fielder. Doesn't seem to be much in the way, honestly, of those. Jose Batista's over there, though. And that's always an interesting one for me because, yeah, he used to hit with real power. And I always enjoyed that. So 24-year-old with room to grow, Pedro Fernandez. So, yeah, I've got Kimbrel, I've got Fernandez over here. I've got Keuchel if I want to improve my pitching. And then, I don't know, there's a second baseman with room to grow from Cuba, Cardenas. Maybe we can look at him as well. Young pitcher here, 24. Another starting pitcher here. So, there's not a ton in free agency, but there are some positions that we can actually fill and some stuff we can do. And you get an idea of the demand and what we can sort of put together. Looks like I got 8.8 million, so if I went for Kimball, I wouldn't have much else. But I could look at maybe Fernandez. And I could look at Cardenas. I can do some sneaky little pieces there. International amateurs, we can see when they pop up. The posted players, pending offers, and your upcoming free agents. So next season you can see some big players up there. I'm not sure we'll be able to have enough money available for some of these. Dozier's there though. Gannett, good second baseman. Yeah, decent bat on him. Good contact and power, could be a nice home run option from second base. So it depends how you want to build your team. But again, just the level of information on these screens is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So we can shop players around. So let's say yeah. Don't want veterans, but I'll take prospects and regulars for Chris. See what CI shows up with. Creating some pictures. So these are prospects and regulars. So we know he's a decent catcher, but he is getting on a bit. And so, what can I get? How much value can I get back for him? I know he's a popular player. Looks like there's a lot of offers coming in because there's a lot of players' pictures being put up right now. So, Yeah, there's a lot here that are being offered for CI, including a right fielder that we might like, and as well, Adair is a pretty good second baseman. I mean, that's quite interesting. The Rangers, hey? The Rangers are throwing two names at me that I like. Closer we don't need, we know that. Closer we don't need. So in terms of pure value for overall, I think you're looking at one of those guys. And then, I don't know what else we do. I guess maybe we set you over to left field, Dahl, maybe? It's where I've played him in the past. So maybe if we move you to left, and then if we move him to left field, and then we can look at bringing in Mazzara at the right field. And that's the outfield kind of sorted with Tapia and Tauchman as good options. And then we can trade Desmond and maybe a couple of rookies and go after Udo and bring in both of these. And then get ourselves a new catcher. But I mean, the drop-off down to Murphy isn't big. So I mean, there's a lot of deals we could do. Honestly. There's a lot of deals we could actually do here. So we'd get him out. And we'd get these two in. So a young guy. Doesn't seem like he's very popular just yet. He's still developing. He could turn into more of a good player. Okay. So much information about Mazzara. But I like him. I mean, he is unhappy. He's just been shopped, so maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad deal. Kind of like that aspect. I can get both of those for Ionetta on his own. And then I agree, it's been a pleasure. Really? So I send CI over. And he nets me a replacement center who will turn into something, a second baseman to improve our positioning, and a right fielder to fill that gap. Two of which are at least as good as he is now. Okay. Is this because they're in a win now mode? Is that how this works? Maybe. Possibly. Let's see what else they have down there. Frisco Rough Riders, really close to me, Frisco. Add a closer. I like your proposal. Please submit it. Okay, so we'd be losing monies, but we get an excellent closer, a replacement player, an improvement in our 2 weak spots. I mean, okay, so no, it's certainly not a good deal. Yeah, okay, so you don't want to give up a good prospect there. I can understand that. I can. Okay. Interesting. But again, the amount of feedback I feel you get in this is pretty cool. I just don't know what else I could get back that'd be worth it. And again, I'm not sure what our GM's thinking there. I think this is a great deal. I mean, leave your comments in the section below as to why this wouldn't be a good deal. Getting rid of a 35-year-old catcher who's not great, and actually bringing in a catcher who's not that far behind could end up better, will be a better batter. Bringing in a 4-star potential closer who could have a great sort of set of stats on him, as well as a starting second baseman and right fielder, which we need both positions filled. Complete trade. Complete trade. Every day of the week I complete that trade. Come on now. I mean, honestly. I mean, what else can I do? Can I improve things even more than that? I mean, I guess I can. I mean, I guess I look at Desmond. It's not a great batter. He'd be a decent first baseman at least. So, there'd be a pretty decent first baseman. And again, we don't really need much else. So we'll see what Desi can get us. Don't know why my sound went up. There we go. So there's nothing coming back for Desi. So it's not as easy. CI, there was something about him that that they felt they could do with. Not so much maybe elsewhere. Okay. Let's throw him up. The final boss. Gotta love the nicknames as well. And there's no offers coming in there. Interesting. So add new needs. So I can say I need a... Let's see. I need a starting pitcher who's 28 and under. And I need them to be good. Current ability. I don't care what kind of pitcher they are. So I need a new starting pitcher who's going to be with the team a few seasons. And I need them to be able to really take care of things. So let's actually go to Superstar. Let's find ourselves a leader. See if anything comes up there. You can see catchers. You list your way down. and also then look at the prospects. You can figure out which teams you want to trade with. The Brewers have got a good catcher now and a good prospect. The Phillies have got the #1 rated prospect at the position. And the Blue Jays have got a young guy who is already a top guy in the league, but will be a superstar one day. You can see the first baseman and see the teams. Murphy's up in 8th. If we look around, try and figure out what we want to do, might be able to pick up some other guys. Doesn't look to be a lot of young first basemen around, and maybe those rankings aren't entirely accurate. But that's kind of cool. Second baseman. Yeah, I guess we don't have much just yet. Third baseman, Nolan is up there. We've also got Welker, who is somehow really high up on that list. And each of the position is rated here. So you're able to see who's got the good closers. Again, we're not great, but we're up there. You know, near the middle. And we got a decent guy coming through. But maybe it's worth looking at this screen just so you can see what you might have in the future. There you go. You can see that trade that we had. Click more info. And now we're able to see ourselves. So you can see our head scout ranks him a little higher potentially. And yeah, it's interesting to see how things change. He was a better batter on the USA rankings, but I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting one, but as a trade, I think we do very well. Again, the league doesn't really like Odo too much. I think that he's more in line, hopefully, with what our head scout says. And yeah, I could see him being pretty good for us. An improvement at the position, if nothing else. And our scout likes this kid better as well. I know we do have a good scout, so there is that. And again, the league ranks Inet as batting a lot more than we do. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that whole thing. I mean, the league really likes this kid as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if my scout was wrong on him either. So we've got a good deal there, I think. Waiver wire. I mean, a decent center fielder. It's not a bad option, I guess. So we can trade for him, we can claim player, we can do all kinds of stuff. We're going to put in a trade offer, a claim on him. 25 years of age, switch hitter, center, very quick. Yeah, Rome is a player that I think would be an interesting pickup. He might not be a great player, but I think as a defensive outfielder, he certainly has value. He has age as a backup in case of injury, as a trading piece later on. Yeah, I think there's quite a bit actually that I like. Let's offer a contract, see how that all works. Minor league contract. Again, we should be okay, so we're just going to offer a minor league. We'll view our offers elsewhere. And look at that. You can click on the nation and get so much information back as well. Just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So Cardenas, I think we seem to rate him higher than the league. Minor league deal. Let's throw that out there. Dominican Republic, you can see a lot of information there. But again, young player that could turn out to be a decent role player. Even if nothing else, I think we throw a deal there. Just throw some minor league contracts at these guys with decent potential. And if they're right, then we don't lose too much. But if we're right, we get ourselves some players that can crack the lineup and that we didn't have to spend much money on. So I'm not sure what we get for about $1 million, but I'm kind of happy with the players we've signed there. So what about you, Pedro? We've already got an offer on Pedro and Beltran or Keuchel. We can't afford Jumbo. Yeah, the amount of money here is going to hold us back somewhat. Don't know how much we can make a different with all those. But yeah, the amount of information is absolutely mind-boggling. But yeah, it's a very interesting trade. I will admit I didn't expect to do as much there as I feel I have. But that's pretty cool. As I say, the amount of information you're given means you can really make an impact there. So let's see, second baseman was 30th and the right fielder was Dahl. I think it was like 14th or something like that. And at right field we had, I want to say 24 or something. So 30 and 24 might be what we've actually changed. So that might be what we've changed. And yeah, who do I send down? Who do I send down? I'll send you down. And then probably send you down to send you all the way down. So I like to reorganize by potential, so get my top guys in good positions. Okay. And then we look here. Got designated for assignment, guys. So now I can see second baseman. I've got some players here to assign. So Desmond, I want to trade away. So I want to change waivers to my AAA team for now. And then look at sending Desmond down. And look at sending Raza. He refuses to be demoted, eh? Okay. Okay, not what I expected. Not what I expected at all. Set position to... Now you're going to stay as first base. So I need to trade him out. I definitely want all those guys up. I was looking at promoting somebody else, but yeah, Reynolds doesn't want to go. So Reynolds and Desmond will be two I would be looking to make a move on from. Seung-Hwan, I would look to make a move on from as well. And yeah, I'd get a better reserve pitcher, and I would get myself a better catcher up here. Those would be the moves I'd like to make. Apart from that, I think we've got a very solid looking lineup now. So you can look at the lineups and all depth charts and lineups. You can see who's going to play where. Look at the graphical depth chart. And now suddenly our new players show up. And it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. I think overall it'd be a pretty interesting set of players that we can assemble, and yeah, I'll be pretty happy with going into the season with this team. So I think if you look at it objectively, it's a pretty fun idea to do those kind of trades. And I really like the fact that we're able to, and the fact that we've got so much better now. Okay, we've only got the 20th best second baseman, but it's an improvement from when we were. And then we've got the 15th best right fielder instead of the 14th, because he's gone to the left side and become the 12th best in his position. And we've dropped down on catcher a little bit, but that's the only thing which really we need to improve on. So if we do that, and if we get a better pitcher in to help out, one or two changes there, I think playoffs definitely would be an option. I think that would be a respectable goal to have. I think the World Series might be a bit of a push. Not too many superstars in here, but we've got some good players. So yeah, I think we definitely need to add pitching to get there. But that might be through the draft. That might be something I look to over that side. Wow. But there we go. As I say, the level of depth, the level of customization, the level of optimization, and that balance between details and the customization and the production and the speed of the game is very impressive. All in all, it seems like a very solid game, and continuous improvements. They do seem to be committed to making sure that not only do they keep the existing fan base happy, but that they're able to introduce the game to a whole new audience without them feeling lost. So they're not dumbing down the game for new people. They're not overcomplicating it to pander to the existing audience. They're doing a really good job of making the best possible game that almost anyone can play, and almost anyone can play in their own way and their own style. And it's really, really impressive. It's slick, it's coordinated, it's fully licensed, it looks good, it feels good. And yeah, about halfway through this video, my brain went immediately from review mode to roster building mode. And there were certain points I think you could see that happening. And I think that speaks to how much the game is able to draw you into its world. And by the time I got round to the trades, I was already looking, okay, we need this, we need that. These are the players I can give up. I can kind of overpay for this position if someone's available. I want to get something cheaper here. I mean, it just really pulled me in. So much so that as soon as this recording stops, I'm going to jump right into the game again and get ready to rebuild my staff team, start setting everything up for the future. I'm probably going to try and find some money in some ways that I can sort of get a starting picture I really, really like. So it's going to be an interesting one, and I expect to see a series up on the channel. But like I say, it's available right now, guys. It's been out a few days. It's 10% off, I believe, until the 29th. You got 3 days to go grab the game. 3 or 4 days to grab the game. $34.99, $35.99, I believe. Check on OOTPdevelopments.com. It's available on Steam. It's Mac, PC, and Linux. There's online modes, offline modes. Just so much to it. If you like baseball, grab the game. If you like sports management games, grab the game. If you don't like either, then watch some YouTube videos, watch some playthroughs, watch the Twitch streams that Out of the Park put up themselves, as well as their own YouTube videos, and see if it would still be something you like yourself. But I think at this price point, for this style of game, it's really good value. It really is good value. I don't advocate spending $35 on a game very often. I know games cost double that these days, but like I say, I like my games to have substance and replayability, longevity, complexity. You get everything of that nature with this game. And even though baseball's not my favorite sport, this is my favorite sports simulation game because it's so good at what it does and how it allows you to do as much or as little as you want. And not just generally, but if you want to do everything in recruitment but nothing tactically, you can. If you want to do everything tactically but not recruitment, you can. A little bit of both, you can. There's so much you can just customize to suit the way you play. And that's really, really impressive. So, Out of the Park Baseball 20, it's been released. Go check it out, guys. I do believe you will have a fun time. And, yeah. Apart from that, I can't really say too much else. Highly recommend the game. So, kudos to Out of the Park Developments. Done it again with another great game release. And as I say, one that I think is priced really well. I think they do a good job on all their games. I'm really excited for the football game they've got coming out soon, the Front Office Football collaboration. New FHM, when that arrives, should be very good as well. I've been enjoying playing that. But Out of the Park Baseball 20 is definitely something that I think I'm going to be spending quite a lot of this next week playing. And possibly quite a lot of the next month to 6 months playing at the very least. So, what more can I say than that, guys? Great game. Good fun. I'll be up a few hours playing this tonight. And I suggest you check it out. Until next time, though. Thanks very much for being here. I've been Chris Orme. Check out the game. And I'll see you guys next time.